Hello everyone, in this video I will be showing you how to create a thumbnails in DaVinci Resolve. It is, well, I haven't found the topic on the internet. Most recent videos are not showing any decent video about this one, so I decided to give it a go. So why is DaVinci Resolve pretty powerful when it comes to the thumbnail creation? In my opinion, because you have this fusion page, you have a color page, and of course edit page. These three pages are used to basically create a perfect image if you decide to. So let's start. So the first what you need to do is right click in the media pool, in the edit page, and create a timeline. It doesn't matter what is here, you don't need to use the name, anything. Now we have a timeline. That basically means that everything we put inside our timeline can be used as an image. So let's show something. So I can go to, let's say, I have a power bins here. I can use some small assets. So for example, I have this Dexter image over here. So if I zoom in, I can see the Dexter, right? So now we have something like a layer, right? We can layer images. If I decided to give it my logo and put it on the top, it will be layered on the top, right? And if I switch the layers, then it will be like behind. Then let's give it some solid color, let's say. We can put a solid color on the bottom. And now we have a black background, right? What we can also do is use shift space in edit page and type in solid color, for example, and that will make another solid color for us. And here in the right side in the inspector, we can change the color, for example. So now if we want to have a green background, we can have a green background, right? What is interesting about this is when we click on the clip and press shift spacebar, and let's say we want to have auto stroke, then we're gonna have auto stroke, which can be later on under the effects changed by whatever we want to, right? So maybe this is something you already know. We can also adjust the thickness of the border, and if we want to go like further, we can even type in 1, or we can type in 0.3, and from here we can adjust the thickness, right, of the outside. What is interesting, for example, what you can do with auto stroke is if you go to video, and we are still under this clip, right? Let me show you here. We still are using this one, the logo alpha. If we go to the cropping and we put the softness to our logo, then yeah, it's better used with a square. But if we now adjust the outside and inside, it should also do the softness thing. So we can adjust the size, right? Then what else we can do? We can put some background image. So let's go to our temporary and let's use, let's say, this image that we have here. I will also delete the audio. And then now if I layer this properly, we can have a background. Let me make this smaller. By the way, here, if you want to do the fast cropping or transforming, you can click on transform, and now you can move anything on the screen, right? Then what is interesting about this layering, you can always switch to, let's say, color page, and now you will find your clip here, and you can basically adjust any levels you want to see. Do you want to adjust color? Do you want to make more image to be lit, right? You can do all sorts of stuff. I'm using also highlights. It will highlight the white parts. I can sometimes use the shadows, so the shadow parts will be lighter, right? Then I can increase the contrast and increase the saturation if we want to. Oh yeah, I can reset everything. Also, color boost is pretty insane. The next thing is details. Sometimes your thumbnails are pretty much more prettier if you decrease the detail or increase the detail of the mid-tones. Then you can adjust temp or tint, temperature, right? And do all sorts of stuff. I will not go into crazy details in the color page, but let me tell you that you can use Alt Shift space here as well, and you can use something like blur if you decide to. Pretty nice looking is also film look creator, and then here you switch to Aurora, for example, or switch to vintage. But the thing is, I already adjusted these. So double clicking, you will reset everything to the initial settings. And then now if I go here and I go, let's say, cinematic, and I can also do the exposure here. Interesting setting is, for example, grain. It will create a pretty nice grain to your image. So if you enlarge it, you can see the grain. You can make a bigger grain, smaller grain, rise, softness, and stuff like that. Then, what else you can do? If you press, like, I think it is X, I don't know what is in your, but it's like Y and O. You can like highlight this section, and then when you press Shift space bar, and you type in text plus, then suddenly you have a text here. And with the text you can do all sorts of things here. So let's say I will choose the new wake demo. I can enlarge the text. I can also like move it freely, right? Then with the text itself, we go to shading. I can enable all these 1, 2, 3, 4 shades. So the first one is a simple color, right? So I can make it yellow, let's say. Then it's not showing anything, right? It's mess. Then I go to the second one, and this is the border. So I can change the border to be black one, and I can adjust the thickness. So now we have a nice looking border. I can always like enlarge it, right? If I would choose to go gradient, I can go even to have a gradient outside line, right? If I want to go outside only, sometimes it is a word, because if you scroll down, there is a size, and you can increase the size like X and Epsilon. So you can do pretty nice things. You can go to pivot. You can basically pivot, right? Top, bottom, right and left. I don't know why I cannot do right, left, but yeah, let's say. So now we have a custom tile, right? Then what else we can do? We can definitely change color. If it's gradient, we can do something like a dark blue one or purple, right? And this one, let's say it can be like that, right? But also, if we want to go, we can adjust this slider. You can see what it does, right? Or the next one. You can even add additional point here by pressing just on the free spot. But I also can press Alt-Z, Ctrl-Z to go back. So now we have a tile. Now, it's not really like good looking here, right? So what we can do is go to the color page and select our clip, which is this one, the background. And now we can select this ellipse here. And let's go with the square and look at that. I will select the area which we will be working on with. So I'm gonna select this area. And I can press I can now do all the contrast and everything. For example, if I want this to be more lit, I can do, right? I can do almost black one. Just changing the colors, right? Then what else I can do? I can switch, I can click on this button and it will say that only this section is not affected, but everything else is affected. Yeah, so we can mask everything here. I can even do something like this. There is like, if you click on this, then it will not be so sudden, the black one. There will be transition between blacks. So let's say I can change colors, right? Then what else I can do? I don't know what else. Let me show you. If I click on this clip, which is the background, and then press Shift spacebar, then I can go with auto stroke. But I'm not seeing auto stroke. And why? Well, because if you click on crop or transform and transform it, or let's go to video and make it smaller. So now we see the auto stroke. But this is a little bit problem. So this is a stroke around the background image. But when we press Shift spacebar, look for colored border. We can find it with Shift spacebar. Colored border. So now suddenly we have a colored border around our image, right? So we can change the size of that one here, color border. So let's make it that large, or let's make it, let's make it orange, right? So now we can go back to our auto stroke. We still can move the things, right? We can even do like double click on zoom, and now we are in the middle. But in alter color, I can even do the soft edge. Look at that. Now we have a soft edge. And if we make this a little bit smaller, and x-axis as well. And now we go to understroke. We can change color for that one. So now our thumbnail starts to look pretty a little bit different, right? And actually, let's change the background. So you can drag and drop, right? If we decide to have a different image, actually let's press Q and click on this one and go insert video only. Suddenly we have a video. Press EO, drag, and now we have this background. And if we want to have a similar settings, we just press Ctrl copy, see, and Alt V here, and we click Fusion FX, color correction, okay, apply. So now if we switch our backgrounds, suddenly we have different image, but it has same borders, everything. We want different text. We can go with let's find some nice looking text. Yeah, we can go with this one. Also, we don't want to have these backgrounds. We just switch it off. Make it smaller, effect, boom. We can also like change color of this one. For example, I want this to be different color, so I can make it green. I can make it purple, right? I'm just making like different, like strange colors. You can play with things. Also, this title, I can go to shading and I can click on gradient. Also make it a little bit fast, a little bit bigger. And if I'm in the gradient and let's say I want to have a red down like that, and here let's say yellow. Suddenly we have a better title. Now if I enable this one and go with a solid color and reset the thickness, suddenly we have some. The third one is the shadow. So now we have a shadow. Also, do we want to have this like more shiny? We can enable the fourth one. Now it's pretty, not really pretty, right? Let's have this color. But then we go to size, enlarge X. So now it's together. Make epsilon smaller and pivot it a little bit up. And now softness. Completely go nuts with the softness, right? Then there is extend vertical and horizontal, so make it smaller. And now we have a nice shiny effect. We can enlarge it by epsilon a little bit, and we can change the color. Something like that. We can also like make it smaller, so it is only like behind you know, some letters. We could change the priority, but look at what it does, right? It's in front. We can change the rotation, so it will have a different texture. You know, it's easy. Always double click and you will be back to the initial ones. Yeah, guys, so this is basically it. Also, there is like a lot of things like in the Fusion page. You can make additional things, but I'm not going into the detail. If you want to see more like tips, what you can actually do with this software, subscribe to the channel and let me know what would you like to see, and I will try to explain it to you. This is my first video, so sorry for me being, yeah, it's not the perfect one, but yeah, I will improve. Anyways, thank you for watching and see you on the next one.